Well, I'm pretty sure that every sermon I have ever preached, one way or another, has been about love. Not only does Jesus teach love is paramount, but in our faith, we understand God is love. Love, I like to think, is the heartbeat of the cosmos. And since love's the primary directive of Jesus' teaching, the crux of our faith, the essence of God, and the heartbeat of the cosmos, I preach about it all the time. Love leads the way that Jesus taught. As we heard already, the Advent theme today is love. And since our theme is love, and I've only been here a few weeks, and I expect to preach on love a lot, I think it's important that we define that love. And here's how the Westminster Dictionary of Theological Terms defines it. We are told love is a, quote, strong feeling of personal affection, care, and the desire for the well-being of others. It is the primary characteristic of God's nature and the supreme expression of Christian faith and action, end quote. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. referred to this type of love by the Greek word used in the New Testament, agape. In 1957, way back in the year that I was born, Dr. King wrote that, quote, agape means nothing sentimental or basically affectionate. It means understanding, redeeming goodwill for all, an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return, end quote. More recently, in a short, pithy book I recommend called What If Jesus Was Serious, Reverend Sky Jahani sums it up like this. Real love means to will the good of another person. And going back 2,000 years, we find 1 Corinthians 13, the Apostle Paul famously describing what love looks like. And since we probably all grew up with the King James translation, and we just heard the New Revised Standard Version in the candlelighting, I thought I'd read Eugene Peterson's paraphrase of the passage found in the Message so we can hear it anew, a part of it. Love, he writes, never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything. Trust God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. End quote. When it's all boiled down, love is wanting and acting for the good of others. Human love in the manner of Jesus' way, the biblical way, God's way, is when we desire well-being for others and we act toward it. And a lot of Christians nowadays seem to limit desire and action for well-being to those who share their beliefs. Love is not fully given. But the kind of love we are commanded to provide, the love that Jesus taught and gave and gives, isn't limited like that. Not at all. No matter what we may have otherwise heard or been taught, love on Jesus' way is unfettered. It is unconditional. To fully love is to desire and act toward the well-being of everyone. Family, neighbors, strangers, aliens, even enemies. It's love with no strings attached. And the story of the sheep and the goats in Matthew 25 illustrates the depth of Jesus' meaning. He swoops into love's embrace. All those people a lot of folks leave out. In that story, Jesus tells us that how we care, or how we don't care, for the poor, the sick, the stranger, the imprisoned, and other least among us is how we treat Christ. What we do to others is what we do to Christ. fully done on Jesus, we must cover everyone. That's how far love is intended by Jesus to go. And to end any idea the list does not include everybody, Jesus made sure to add in the Sermon on the Plain that really hard part that we have to love our enemies. You see, the long and the short of it is we are called to will the good of all others. Period. And as a whole, we've not yet done that as a people. Even as a rule, church folks haven't done that. Indeed, most people inside and outside church have heard or read that Jesus taught loving neighbors as a prime directive for his followers. Yet, with the barrage of many churches and pastors in the media spewing and backing hate and political promises to act out hate, is it really any wonder church attendance and people claiming to be Christian or even having an interest in Christianity is at an all-time low? The hypocrisy of churches and church leadership in the media and in practice in our communities is blatant. And it's a turn off. It's akin to the very hypocrisy Jesus chided and stood up to and warned us against and died opposing. Sad stuff. Bad news. But here's the thing, the joyful stuff we talked about last week. The good news of the Gospels, Jesus' actual way of love from way, way back, anchors this season and makes it the season of love. Despite a lot of hate and hypocrisy in the world the rest of the year, during the holidays, love eclipses darkness. Darkness and hate. Many, I would even dare to say most Christians and non-Christians alike, have hate take a back seat to love this time of year. As a culture, this time of year, we literally care more for the poor, the sick, the stranger, the imprisoned, and all the other leasts among us. We even care for enemies, at least personal ones, a bit more this time of year. Love is in the air from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and we can feel it. And it matters so much. We plan and long for Christmas much of the rest of the year for months and months. Love matters. And because of that, the fourth Sunday in Advent is one of my favorite days on the church calendar, since it's all about love. It falls deep in the holiday season, the season that every single year, over and over and over, proves what love cranked up Jesus' way looks like. Just as wonderful and telling is that the holidays demonstrate that we can love, we can be better, and how much that matters, and what a change it makes. I find it extraordinary and exhilarating. And I know it's not a popular opinion, but I actually like when Christmas things start showing up in stores before Halloween. They beckon and herald the coming annual return of the month. Our culture lives right by loving right, by doing what Jesus taught, which is to love our neighbor. And not only doing it, but making it paramount, so much so, it becomes the ethos of the community. For 4 weeks, the greatest commandment is made the greatest in the culture, even by those who don't make it a primary directive of their faith or their life the rest of the year. They may not even know they're following Jesus' way, but they do. And it makes the world a much better place by leaps and bounds. It's absolutely amazing to me that all over our country right now, whether people know it or not, they're acting out Jesus' teachings. They are letting even the scary political strife of this past year be outshined by love in action and deed and in the related sights and sounds and songs we share. And what I really love is that every single year without fail, the Christmas holidays annually prove in real living color what the world looks like when love takes a primary place in the hearts of people, far and wide. Care is in the air this time of year. Those who are poor and sick and imprisoned, including strangers and aliens, receive kindnesses, much needed help. Non-profits like faith communities and charities experiences increase in donations. People want to help other people, and they do. And children are lifted up and adored, and their well-being matters much to all of us, in at least a 10-fold increase. Our grown-up relatives, they hear from us. And we aim to please our closest family and friends with generous presents and precious memories and huge hugs and immense doses of love. This time of year, there's music and lights and decor and stories almost exclusively focused on love or relating to it. It's a splendid time of year. Fantastic feeling abounds, and it can be tapped into during Advent, during the holidays. Communally, we become what God and Jesus want us to be, love bearers, and it is remarkable. And it really, really matters. So much so we think and we talk about it and plan for the next rolling around of the holidays, much of the rest of the year. This year is an exception because I only recently arrived, but during Advent I'm often involved in stage productions of Charles Dickens' wonderful story, A Christmas Carol. And you probably all remember Scrooge, the crabby, miserly main character who undergoes a love-centered transformation at the end of the story. I've read the book many, many times. I've seen many performances and not only played Scrooge on stage, but I've directed the play. I've even crafted a script and successfully put on that version. And so it's fair to say I have spent countless in-depth hours with the story. And I got near the end of the first draft of this sermon, and the story of A Christmas Carol popped into my head, and a new to me thought occurred, even after all those hours. Individually, most of us hope, and we pray that we're not anything like Scrooge. But as a nation, many Americans, including clergy and churchgoers who don't humbug Christmas like Scrooge, do seem to humbug love the rest of the year, as if feelings of personal affection, care, and desire for the well-being of others is not our business every day of the year as a nation or as clergy or as Christian or as anybody. When the spirit of Marley, his long-dead partner, visits him, Scrooge is confused as to Marley's tormented afterlife and says, "But you were always a good man of business." And Marley's haunting reply includes this lament. Business. Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. And we can hear in that lament that the markings of love is all of our business. And notice not just at Christmas, but all year long, that our business as humans is to love. And it takes 3 more ghosts from the past, present, and future to shake Scrooge from his lack-love ways until at the end of the story he ends up desiring and acting out the business of love all year long. At the breakthrough moment, Scrooge's first words are, "I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year." All the year. That's the lesson Dickens hopes we all get. It's the lesson Jesus taught and God hopes we get to. striving to have the love we have at Christmas all year long. That's the very heart of Jesus' way. And people are skeptical we can love others, yet the fact we do it for 4 weeks every single year proves we can do it. And that's one huge reason that I love this time of year. Even as hard and mean as 2024 has been, the past 11 months, love still showed up in the hearts of men in time for Christmas. And it can show up from January to November too, if like Scrooge, we honor Christmas in our hearts and try to keep it all the year. Charles Dickens goes on in the story to set out the positive effects of Scrooge's love-soaked years, noting he, quote, became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. And just before the story ends with Tiny Tim's God bless us, everyone, Dickens points out that Scrooge lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards. And that principle is abstinence from being selfish, bitter, mean-spirited, angry, greedy, grasping, self-centered, and unforgiving. The absence of such things results from the presence of love. And we see so much more abstinence of such things during the holidays because of love, the strong feeling of personal affection, care, and desire for the well-being of others. Love, the primary characteristic of God, the heartbeat of the cosmos, is put front and center in much more of what we do. We profoundly feel love's presence this time of year. And the presence of love is the Christmas spirit. It's the heart of the holidays. It's great. It is fantastic. And our job as followers of Jesus is to make love the heart of every single day. So may we honor Christmas in our hearts and try to keep it all the year. May we be love as often as we can every moment of our lives. God bless us.